Hey guys, welcome to Takashigurami TV. It's a new year and we have a new mission and we're gonna go after it. Welcome to Hexera Training Day, vlog number 8. And this one is gonna be a special one because today we have with us the beautiful queen herself, Maya, who is the first lady of Hexera Airsoft Arena. And today we're doing our transition drills with the pistol and some other additional pistol drills, right? Some draw drills. We're going to do some different stuff. And we're working on pretty much breaking down our handgun mechanics that we worked on in our previous video. So we really had the honor today, right? To kind of just really cut back, get somebody to really help us, put a lot of these things into practice. Overall, this was a very positive, a very fruitful session, and there was a whole lot to really get out of it. Now, oftentimes when people ask about, tactical training or how should they start, right? What are some of the basic things that you should do in order to make your training successful? And it doesn't have to be anything that's super elaborate. You don't need to start with anything that's super sophisticated, right? It's pretty much, it comes down to preference, kind of selecting what you want or what you want to focus on. Airsoft is one of those kind of things that kind of encompasses a lot of what people like to do. So there's no like set route on anything. If you want to pick up handguns, if you want to pick up rifles or shotguns, you can pretty much, choose whichever path you decide to go on. My particular path was very unique because when I started playing, as I mentioned before, many times in the past, the very first thing that I started to use was a pistol. Now, keep in mind, I did want to learn how to use, rifles and submachine guns and shotguns and all that kind of stuff. Those are definitely, some of the things that were very enticing to me at first. But I didn't have any basics. I didn't have a foundation. And the way that I kind of found the sport was pretty much by accident. So going back to that, the fundamentals of, what gets you to start in the first place. And once you kind of understand what route you want to go, you pretty much keep one foot in front of the other. So now, have I played with Maya before? I don't think so. It definitely will happen in the future though. But it's not the first time that I've seen her shoot. I have watched some of her videos before. And they were really good, by the way, just to say. But it was the very first time that I had ever worked with her in person. And she was very happy and adamant about doing the session with me, which I really liked. Usually when I do my trainings, normally I'm by myself and I'm filming my own drills. A lot of the times it does get redundant and pretty boring. So I do recommend for a lot of people who are going into their drilling phase when it comes to their shooting drills. It doesn't matter what it's for. Make it fun. If you can, if you're going shooting, I think it's really enjoyable. If you do go with a partner, if you can, or have someone enjoy the experience with you, I think it makes it that much better and you can kind of feed off of each other in that sense. Or, with a group, if you have really close friends or a good network like that. It does help. And you can somewhat or sort of evaluate each other in that sense, if that makes sense. And what we got the chance to do was we got the chance to work on 1911 mechanics, which was really impressive because when you look at the 1911, it's pretty much one of the most difficult handguns to learn. Single action, most handguns are pretty much difficult because, as I have mentioned before, you only have 2 points of contact. You're talking about a system, right, that has been around for ages. Obviously, a lot of Americans love the 1911. Working from a single action standpoint, thumb safety, all that good jazz, and pretty much mastering it. It's not one of the easiest things to learn. I was fortunate enough when I started using pistols. The very first single action pistol I ever had was the High Kappa 5.1. I think that was the third airsoft gun I ever got, and I remember I bought it at Liberator Shop in Osaka. So getting used to that trigger at first, well, on the High Kappa was pretty easy, but understanding how to pull the trigger is so huge, because like everybody understands, right? Like pulling a trigger is pretty easy. I mean, people have been doing it forever with with your super soakers or your cap guns or whatnot. But understanding how to press the trigger, right? Going over trigger press, grip, which was another fundamental thing that I didn't have initially before. You're just kind of grabbing guns and just using them in a sense, and not really understanding how they work, which is huge, right? Because you don't really understand how to use something until you understand how to use it effectively. So kind of having a gun is kind of like the same thing in that sense. In airsoft, you can have dozens of guns. It doesn't really matter. Skill, I would say, at the end of the day, is the most important aspect. And having a skill gap many a time is a difference between success or failure, if you want to call it that, in what we're doing. So we take these aspects, we take what we're looking at, right, what we're talking about right now actually, and we apply it to these drills, right? Whether you're doing solo draw drills, which are really effective, a few of them which I was applying before, and also a little bit in this video, but also before, such as the half test or your transition drills, where you're focusing on drawing your pistol, aligning your sight, getting a good grip, and working on a smooth trigger press, which is one of the most underrated things in all of shooting that you can learn. Everybody talks about all these things like rapid fire and whatever the case may be, but just the basics never ever go away. Those fundamentals, if you don't have them down pat, will always haunt you when you're talking about airsoft or shooting or pretty much anything in general, and how you apply it. And I think that's one of the things that really made this session really fun, is because when you're working with someone who has different fundamentals, right? Or in a sense, if they're working on developing certain ones that they need, you can kind of go back to the things that make you better in the first place. And I would never call myself an elite shooter, but these are the concepts that everyone has to take into account. There's accountability here. So if you don't have that in a sense, then it really makes it difficult for you to move forward in anything. So kind of applying those same principles to, martial arts, where it's not just in a sense, just practicing for just the sake of practicing, but in a sense, practicing in a way where you're practicing with efficiency, and every single time that you decide to practice again over time, you're showing improvement each time, and that's pretty much the goal. Now, precision shooting, man, precision shooting is it's super difficult. To this day right now, this is something that I might always struggle with, because in my particular case, I do run a lot of different pistols right now, particularly pistols, quite a few. The grip for a lot of different systems, even in airsoft, there's slight changes that you have to make in each situation, right? And you can sort of adapt what you're doing each time, I guess, for each particular type of gun. So, for example, right, if I'm using a Glock, let's say like a Glock 19 or a Glock 45, I'm not going to hold my Glock 45 the same way I'm going to hold my Nighthawk, my Warhawk 1911, because the angle in which I'm using it, it's going to point a little bit differently. So I have to cant my gun forward, or I have to realign something in some sense. And with the 1911, it does point a little bit easier. So at times, you can say that it does get a bit easier in a sense, but you still have to practice because the recoil is a little bit different. Now, in this case, Maya and myself, for the entire session, we're using CO2 1911 gas blowback pistols. So I brought the V10 ultra compact Springfield, which, as you guys saw in the review video, has very sharp blowback. Very sharp blowback. The gripping is not that difficult. It does have a nice grip texture, right? But it's a little bit tricky because with the 1911, you have to make sure that you're gripping the grip safety. So you have to be applying pressure to the grip safety. Then you got to take into consideration where's your thumb positioning, because once you hit the thumb safety, then the gun won't fire. So you got to be aware of your thumbs. You have to be aware of where you're gripping. And now finally, once you take in those safety mechanisms, out of the equation, then it's the trigger. And the trigger pull on pretty much almost every 1911 and 2011, it has a spectacular trigger. But even though it has a spectacular trigger, you still have to master that trigger press. So it's really tricky. Some of the drills that we did from varying distances, like there's some things that you can add, such as your grip and even your stance, that can kind of help you to maneuver and to move well in a sense, and to to get good placement. But ideally, everything just comes with practice. It's one of the catch-all things that we always talk about, I think, in every vlog that we do, every training vlog, is just the importance of training. Everybody likes to play. I love to play, but I love to train, right? I think that's how you develop a repertoire. With jiu-jitsu, I was the exact same way. I mean, competing was always fun, and if you don't enjoy competing, then you shouldn't compete, in my opinion. But the quality of your training shouldn't really diminish, because if you're not doing your drills and you're not improving yourself and your skills, you got to remember, these are skill-based practices. So experience is a huge factor, but skill set is also another important factor. And if you are in a sense lacking in your skill set, then it can be a little bit difficult for you to be successful long term. So it's kind of one of those things that you kind of have to think about each time you're doing your practice. But this session was a very fruitful one. I tell you what, I was very happy. I was very proud of Maya's very quick development, in a sense, in terms of her shooting. Once she was able to establish her grip, she was able to just drive those rounds into the target at a good enough distance for a pistol, in my opinion. The V10 is a little bit tricky because it has a shorter barrel, and we're using high pressure gas. So the rounds were flying up a little bit. A big part of that could be due to the hop too as well. I'm not sure if the hop was in the right position or not, but it's good to do it this way. And this is one of the first few times that I've ever done a vlog like this from a third person perspective, where people can get a glimpse of what's really happening with some editing, but not an obscene amount of editing, so you can kind of see where those improvements are, in a sense. So guys, feel free to comment as well, even as you're kind of observing what's happening right in these sessions. And one of the things I'm always curious about, especially for the viewers, because I know some people are very particular about how they feel in regards to training, especially to watching my vlogs. And surprisingly, a lot of people, right, they like to hear me talk on these. I love talking on these, by the way, in general, and I like communicating with the viewers. So what are some of the drills that you guys have been implementing in your sessions? Now, I don't care what it is or what you're practicing with, but feel free to comment and to share your thoughts on what you feel is important for development in airsoft or in shooting in general, which is, I guess, a unique part of the culture here, because what we're doing right now is very special. If I was in New York, I can tell you one thing: I definitely wouldn't be able to do any of this. That would probably be out of the question. But it's definitely it's one of the perks, I guess, to being here right now and to enjoy these experiences, for sure. So we started off doing a lot of target drills, which was really interesting at first. A lot of target drills, a lot of drills regarding grips and regarding sighting and trigger press, and taking a lot of the things that we did from the beginner handgun video and kind of putting it in more of a practical scale. So we're working on drawing, we're working on sight alignment, we're working on presentation, which is also huge, getting the weapon out in front of us and utilizing our workspace, which is also something you can also do with your dry fire. I know a lot of guys do like to dry fire at home. I used to dry fire a lot. I still actually do dry fire a lot when I'm in my home, usually like when I'm watching TV or YouTube or something. And I'll just take the magazine out my weapon, I'll cycle the pistol and just work on inserting the magazine and clicking down on the slide release, running it that way and presenting, and just kind of rinse and repeating, doing the same thing over and over again, just kind of working that mag release and the slide release and inserting my magazine, ejecting my magazine, presenting forward, and just you get into a rhythm. The key there is what that does is that improves your ability to handle the weapon. So that way, when you're in a moment, when you're training or during a situation of stress, what you have in front of you shouldn't feel foreign to you, if that makes sense. There should be a sense of, well, okay, this is happening, but I'm in a familiar situation. What I have in front of me in my hands is something that I am familiar with and that I know about. So, I don't really feel increasingly awkward about the experience and what I have to do. And all of that comes with training. And I know you guys, once again, a lot of you guys want to see gameplay. And I love making gameplay videos a lot. I really do. But I do feel that there has to be a balance here for sure. And that's what we're trying to achieve here in in the vlogs here, especially in this vlog 8. So
Ready? 3.
we got the chance after our target drills
On the bell.
and our shooting drills that we're working at varying distances and getting our rounds in the target. So we did the half test, which I believe was
Nice.
5 rounds
Perfect.
for 5 seconds, and I was able to
Doing really good.
get good hits. Maya was working on her target drills at varying distances, right? Trying to hone in on her sights and really bundled down on her trigger press and her sight alignment, which was huge, and she was able to do it. Then we get into our transition drills. We take the same concept from the Mark 18 drill video and our switching, right? And instead of doing our transition to the pistol, now we are just switching targets, moving from that same angle. So the goal in that sense, placement is good, but you want to limit your shots so that way, you know, realistically, when you are trying to hit targets, you're not just wasting ammo, right? So you don't necessarily need to fire a lot of rounds to have a good session or to be effective in a firefight, right? It's about placement. Even in airsoft, it's about placement. It's all about placement. So you're firing your shots, and it does, for a lot of people, it does take a while to align that sight. It is kind of difficult. The Nighthawk Warhawk does have a very useful red fiber front sight, which makes it very easy to track. So sight tracking with the Nighthawk is, it's a joy. Actually, I really do like it. It's very fun to use in that sense. So we're working from our crouch position, coming up, firing on these targets, or doing one in each. I believe we shot at 4 targets. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. And just working through shooting and reloads. Now, reloads, even for me in particular, are very difficult. I have to work on them a lot. My reloads are slow and they're terrible, especially with a handgun and especially with the 1911. And for those of you guys who run 1911s, especially if you run real count, yeah, you guys know the reloads have to be on point, right? And that's one of the beauties of running gas blowback. Gas blowback forces you to develop some skill. You know, a lot of people like electric. I love electric too, you know, for the situation that is called for. But I think for training, if you want to, you know, really get some, you know, some positive feedback or some realistic sensations, that's the way to go. You know, CO2 gas blowback, if you can, get some targets, get some magazines, and if you can, a timer. I think some phones have a application, you know, like a little timer with a par mode, and that's definitely something that you would want to implement in order to improve and to work on the skills that we are working on right now. The transition drills overall were a success. I enjoyed running them a whole lot, and we were able to score hits. Maya did very well with the V10 when it came to hitting the corners, lining up her sight, applying what she literally learned minutes ago, and she was able to do it effectively. It was amazing. So guys, definitely look out for Maya in some more feature videos or training videos for sure. She's gonna definitely be on the training vlog again, and she's literally amazing. Probably one of the coolest people I've ever either played with or trained or done anything airsoft related. She was just really cool about the whole experience. So it was awesome. Love you, Maya. Thank you so much for being a part of the project. If you're watching this video, can't wait to have you on the training vlog again. Yeah, so that was a huge success and it was a pleasure. So there's definitely going to be more of these coming within the near future. And when I say near future, I definitely mean within the next couple of months for sure. There's definitely, well, there's no exact timetable per se on when the next one is going to be or what it's going to be on. I do have an idea of what's going to be happening though, so that should be something to look out for as well. And you know, feel free to take anything that you see into consideration, and also once again, be sure to leave your comments and your thoughts and your opinions and whatnot about how you feel about these videos, because I don't think that they're a complete waste at all. I think a lot of what you'll see is very helpful, pretty much just as helpful as the reviews, and there's been a lot of good feedback on those as well. But I would personally like to see more positive feedback on these, because they are important, and there definitely needs to be some more balance on the channel for sure. That's the direction that we're going towards, and obviously, you know, that's it. That's the key. I've been talking a lot, I know, but once again, you know, it's important. And also, a lot of people do like to hear me for some reason when I talk on these, because they find them informative, I guess, which makes me happy, which does make me happy for sure. Going forward, when it comes to, you know, my training right now, I do like using the CO2 Nighthawks for sure when I'm making these videos and kind of doing them more off the record and more off of, like, you know, what my thoughts are, you know, in terms of my reaction to the experience. That way it's not very robotic and people can get more of an authentic feel on what I'm thinking about and what I am saying. And there's so much more to come. I plan on definitely on doing more of these and having, you know, other people come on here and shoot if they have time, and if the situation calls for it. And it'll be really awesome to be able to even turn this into a series, you know, despite, you know, how long the videos are, and, you know, pretty much what they need to be depending on what we're doing. And they don't always have to be super long like this. But yeah, usually if I do them, they're probably going to be within 14 to 15 minutes, depending on what I'm doing in the moment. If I'm only doing a couple of drills, then it may not take that long. But if I'm doing something elaborate, or, you know, if I have to kind of run through something, then it depends on the situation. Yeah, it might take a little bit long, but these are the things that are make or break, and the fundamentals will always be relevant in terms of what you're doing. It doesn't really matter what it is. Okay, guys, so once again, thank you so much for watching our training vlog, Hexera training vlog, training day, vlog 8. Once again, we got another successful video done, and there will be more successful videos. Maya, please do this again. Please, let's get it in. Let's get some work in. You guys know the deal. This is Tactical Ashigurami TV. You know the drill. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I say it all the time because I know you guys forget. Hit the notification bell, all that good jazz. I love you all. You guys inspire me so much. Take care. See you soon. And peace out.